Alexander the Great built his reputation on flawless military execution. As a commander, he crossed the ancient world without losing a single battle. Starting from Macedonia, his army absorbed the Greek city-states, annexed Egypt, and pushed the boundaries of his influence deep into India. But that momentum hit a sudden wall. At age 32, Alexander died in Babylon, leaving behind no designated successor to hold his gains together. Without a leader to issue orders, the most effective military machine of the ancient world was instantly paralyzed and left without a clear purpose. Almost immediately, his generals turned on each other, fracturing the unified territory into 4 competing separate kingdoms. Under normal historical conditions, when an empire's political center collapses, its imported culture retreats back to its origin point. Instead, Greek influence flourished, creating the Hellenistic era, a period that saw Greek language and art dominate the Eastern Mediterranean for the next 3 centuries. This creates a unique historical paradox. How did a dead king whose political state shattered immediately manage to turn Greek habits into the default setting for civilizations thousands of miles from his homeland? Alexander's tutor, the philosopher Aristotle, argued that conquered populations were naturally inferior and should be treated as little more than plants or animals. On the ground, Alexander realized this ethnocentric worldview was a mathematical impossibility. Governing a territory of this scale required cooperation, not isolation. He began adopting Persian clothing, rituals, and court customs, a move that horrified his Greek loyalists, but established his legitimacy in the eyes of his new subjects. This wasn't a betrayal of his roots. It was a calculated necessity. To rule Asia, Alexander had to physically and culturally become Asian. This integration reached a breaking point at the city of Opis in 324 BCE. Macedonian veterans openly rebelled, refusing to serve alongside the Persian units being drafted into their elite ranks. Alexander executed the ringleaders and immediately promoted his Persian troops to the highest commands, showing his veterans they were no longer irreplaceable. Once the mutiny collapsed, he held a massive banquet where he seated Greeks and Persians together, publicly praying for a joint hegemony between the two peoples. By dismantling the ethnic hierarchy of his own army, he proved to his men that survival in the East required shared administration rather than simple military occupation. Beyond rituals, Alexander reshaped the geography itself. He planted over 70 urban hubs across his routes, most notably Alexandria and Egypt. These cities functioned as Greek civic infrastructure. He installed the theaters, gymnasiums, and temples necessary to anchor a Greek way of life in foreign soil. To connect these hubs, he relied on Koine, or Common Greek. This language became the administrative link for global trade, allowing distant regions to communicate through a single tongue. This combination of physical cities and a shared language created a self-sustaining network that was capable of functioning without a central king to lead it. When the empire fractured, these urban nodes and trade routes continued to flourish independently. The cultural network ignored the new political borders. In practice, Hellenism operated as a cultural mesh. Greek law and art settled over Egypt, Syria, and Persia, creating a layered identity. Local traditions didn't disappear. They merged with Greek forms to create something adaptable and portable. This political collapse actually removed the imperial target. Because there was no longer a central Macedonian power to rebel against, these Greek-speaking cities had to integrate with their neighbors to stay viable, turning a fragile conquest into a permanent local reality. In the centuries that followed, Alexander transformed into a historiographical mirage, a symbol constantly reinvented and claimed by every culture from the Mediterranean to the Himalayas. His impact was not the temporary borders he drew on a map, but the urban and linguistic infrastructure he left behind. By ending the era of the isolated city-state, Alexander successfully built the connections required for the world's first international network.